The Houston Texans are sitting on top of a ticking clock, and most people have no idea how loud it is about to get. This franchise went from rebuilding to playoff contender in one season, won back-to-back division titles, and made the postseason 3 straight years under DeMeco Ryans. Yet they still have not made it past the second round, and that silence is getting louder every single day. CJ Stroud lit the league on fire as a rookie with 4,108 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. But that was 2 seasons ago, and his numbers have dropped every year since. Here is what makes 2026 so different from any other year, because the Texans completely rebuilt their offensive line this offseason and brought in a new starting running back to change the identity of this team. They still have the #1 defense in football, led by Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, who combined for 153 quarterback pressures last season. On paper, this roster looks like a legitimate Super Bowl contender, but paper does not win championships, and the pressure on Stroud to prove he is still that franchise quarterback has never been higher. What makes all of this even more intense is what is happening behind the scenes, because Will Anderson Jr. needs a new contract, and Stroud is approaching a massive extension, while Azeez Al-Shaair is on the last year of his deal. The Texans cannot keep all of them forever, which means this season is not just about winning games. Now, it is about proving who deserves to be part of the future, and the first thing Houston had to fix before anything else was the one unit that has been failing CJ Stroud since the day he was drafted. Since the day CJ Stroud was drafted, this offensive line has been failing him, and the numbers tell a story nobody in Houston wants to ignore. His pressure rate went up every single season, jumping from 35.5% in year 1 all the way to 41.2% in 2025. He has been one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league over that stretch, with 113 sacks across 3 years, and suffered concussions inside the pocket against the Jets and the Broncos. The Texans finally decided to do something about it by signing Braden Smith from the Indianapolis Colts to play right tackle. They brought in Wyatt Teller from the Cleveland Browns on a 2-year $16 million deal to lock down the guard spot, and re-signed Ed Ingram at right guard. Evan Brown adds interior depth, but the biggest remaining question is center, where Jake Andrews held it down last season. That draft strategy ties directly into something even bigger this franchise has to figure out before the season starts, because protection is only half the battle. The Texans met with multiple center prospects at the Combine, and that decision connects to the contract clock ticking louder every single day. 3 stars need new deals, and the team cannot keep all of them forever, which means every dollar spent on the line is a dollar not spent elsewhere. Will Anderson Jr. finished 2025 with 12 sacks, 20 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, and a 92.3 PFF grade, ranking second among all edge defenders in football. He showed up even bigger in the playoffs with 8 career postseason sacks, and now Micah Parsons reset the edge rusher market at $46.5 million per year, while Aiden Hutchinson signed for $45 million. Anderson is younger, healthier, and improving every season, so expect something around $47 million annually, and he deserves every dollar. Then there is the Stroud situation, because ESPN projected his extension at 4 years, $224 million, roughly $56 million per year. But here's where it gets tricky, because if the Texans lock him in now and he plays like his 2025 self, they overpay. If they wait and he returns to rookie form, the price jumps past $60 million, and both sides are gambling on what comes next. Azeez Al-Shaair posted 103 tackles, 9 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions last season, and a deal around $13 to $14 million per year keeps him in Houston. But paying all 3 stars means something else has to change about how this offense actually operates, because you cannot fund everything. The front office has to decide who builds the future and who becomes a memory when the checks get written. When Davis Mills stepped in after Stroud went down with a concussion against the Denver Broncos, something unexpected happened, because the offense started moving. Not because Mills has more talent, because he does not, but he slowed the game down, leaned on the run game, and worked off play action. He never forced the football into dangerous windows, and that Thursday night football win over the Buffalo Bills was built on that exact formula, with boring quarterback play, smart decisions, and 0 turnovers. Now look at what Sam Darnold just did with the Seattle Seahawks because he won a Super Bowl as a game manager, and Kenneth Walker III won Super Bowl MVP. When Seattle needed a big throw, Darnold delivered, but he was not trying to be the hero on every single snap, and that is the blueprint Houston should be following. When you have the best defense in football, you do not need your quarterback throwing 50-50 balls down the field. Stroud has the arm talent to make every throw in the book, and nobody questions that, but he has to stop chasing his rookie season. He needs to start trusting the players around him, especially the ones Houston just added to carry the football, because the backfield got a complete overhaul. The Texans went out and traded for a proven power back who can grind between the tackles and still break off big runs when the lane opens. Joe Mixon missed the entire 2025 season with a foot injury and was released this offseason, so the Texans needed a replacement. Nick Chubb came in, but his body just could not hold up after multiple knee surgeries, and the explosiveness was gone. So the Texans went out and traded for David Montgomery from the Detroit Lions, a proven power back who can grind between the tackles. His time in Detroit only ended because Jahmyr Gibbs took over that backfield, and Montgomery is exactly the kind of runner this offense has been missing. Woody Marks enters year 2 after 196 carries for 703 yards as a rookie and took over in the second half of that wildcard win against Pittsburgh. The potential is there for him to be a real weapon in this system moving forward. The Texans ranked 21st in rushing offense last season, and in that Patriots playoff loss, Marks had 14 carries for just 17 yards. Yeah, a better offensive line changes those numbers overnight, but even with new backs and new blockers, this offense still needs its passing weapons to step up. Injuries have torn through this receiving room for 3 straight years, and that fact alone changes how you evaluate the recent struggles. Stephon Diggs tore his ACL in 2024 and left for New England while Tank Dell broke his leg during his rookie year, then destroyed his knee against Kansas City and missed all of 2025. Christian Kirk filled a veteran role last year, but is not the long-term answer, and the turnover at this position has been brutal. CJ Stroud has never had a healthy full receiving corps around him for an entire season, and that fact alone changes everything. Nico Collins is the one constant because he is locked in as the #1 receiver and still on a bargain deal. Jaden Higgins showed real promise as a rookie last season, working the outside as a vertical threat, and Jalen Noel barely saw 20 to 30% of offensive snaps during his rookie campaign. Noel carries serious upside heading into year 2, and Dalton Schultz returns as a reliable target. The biggest mystery is Tank Dell himself, because he recently changed his number from 3 to 1, and nobody knows if he will have the same speed after sitting out a full year. If he comes back right, this group suddenly looks dangerous, but the real reason Houston can afford to be patient on offense is what they already have waiting on the other side of the football. So the defense is ready to carry this team, and that unit finished 2025 as the top-ranked defense in the NFL. The Texans finished 2025 as the top-ranked defense in the NFL, riding a 9-game winning streak to close the regular season at 12-5. Matt Burt calls the plays now, but the DNA of this unit still belongs to DeMeco Ryans, and they move their edge rushers around constantly. They run twists, stunts, and loop plays that offensive lines simply cannot prepare for, and one-on-one matchups are a death sentence against this front. The interior holds its own with Sheldon Rankins, Naquan Jones, Tommy Togiai, and newly signed Logan Hall rotating in on a 2-year $14 million deal. Henry To'oTo'o pairs with Azeez Al-Shaair in 2 linebacker sets, while EJ Speed steps in when they go to 3, and nobody is running through the middle consistently. The secondary is where it gets truly terrifying because Derek Stingley Jr. locks down one side, and Kamari Lassiter covers the other so well that Stingley never has to travel. Jalen Pitre controls the nickel, and Kalen Bullock roams the back end, while Reed Blankenship arrives from Philadelphia on a 3-year, $24.5 million deal to complete this puzzle. With talent like this on defense, the draft becomes less about filling holes and more about building for the future. The Texans hold pick 28 in the first round, plus selections in rounds 2, 3, and 4, and their combine meetings tell you exactly where their heads are at. They sat down with 8 offensive linemen, including Emmanuel Pregnon, Blake Miller, Caleb Lomu, and Caden Proctor, who earned a top 30 visit. On defense, they met with tackles Dominique Orange Lee Hunter and Caden McDonald from Texas Tech and Ohio State, while linebacker C.J. Allen from Georgia is a name to watch. Two trade rumors are also floating around because Bleacher Report suggested the Rams should acquire Davis Mills as a backup for Matthew Stafford. Unless somebody offers a second-round pick, that is not happening, but Jarrett Patterson is a more realistic trade candidate, with the 49ers potentially offering a fourth-rounder. His 64.1 PFF grade from 2024 makes him valuable given the depth Houston now carries up front. Everything comes down to this because the defense is Super Bowl ready and the offensive line is better than it has ever been under CJ Stroud. If Stroud embraces a smarter style of play and the run game takes pressure off his shoulders, this team can beat anybody in the AFC. But if the offense stalls again, this core of Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter, and Derek Stingley Jr. in their primes may not get another shot like this. 2026 is not just another season for the Houston Texans, because it is the season that defines everything, and Raider Nation has every reason to believe something special is coming.